Hi.
Hey, hi Vasily, how are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Am I able to pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, Vasily. Vasily is okay. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Should we make Gordon also a speaker?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Gordon, I've invited you to speak. So I think we can start. And I mean, to those of you who don't know what we do, I'll just take a few seconds to introduce what QuillAudits does. We are a Web3 security organization. We mostly do smart contract audits, and we also have a bunch of cool security tools to help you automate your security processes, check for frauds in tokens while investing, or maybe monitor threats online on chain transactions, and also do automated scans for audits in your smart contracts. So that's what's up at QuillAudits. Now, it'd be great, Vasily, if you can just quickly introduce what Powerpool Finance is all about.
For some reason, just couldn't get into the session, and it's the first time that's ever happened to me. I apologize to everyone. And could you just bring me up to date on where we are?
Yeah, sure. So I just introduced what QuillAudits is about, and it'll be great if you can, what you and Vasily do, and what Powerpool Finance is about.
Okay, well, when you're ready, I'll do a general introduction, and Vasily can deal with some of the more technical elements.
Perfect.
Yep.
You want me to start now?
Yeah, that'll be great. Please do.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know Powerpool, I'll give a sort of start from nothing introduction. Powerpool is an auxiliary service network. That means it's not an L1 ledger, it's not an L2 scaling layer, it's a service network. It is a decentralized and permissionless service network. And we specialize in two particular services, automation and off-chain compute. Other big service networks are out there. In particular, Chainlink is a network of service networks. They have about 8 or 9 different services. They are very different from us. They're closed source. They're very corporate, massive nodes. We are open source, decentralized, no VC, fair launch, small nodes, home stakers, and people earning directly to their wallets, both keepers earning transaction fees to their wallets, and increasingly developers putting up automation templates and earning directly to their wallets. So we're talking about sort of the classic Ethereum ethos, small, home, individual, no VC. And we are currently live on Gnosis chain with about 120 keepers. Why? Because it's the cheapest place to get started for keepers. And our client runs together with any kind of node validators. And you don't even have to stake ETH. You can just wait and stake ETH later, but you can run our client and earn right away. So that's it as a summary. It's a service network. It's not a chain. It's a service network. And we provide the same sort of services, but very focused and narrow as Chainlink. We don't do oracles at all. And we are much more accessible to DAOs, to small individuals, developers, and to home stakers.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but just would like to want you to elaborate more on what keepers are, because a lot of our audience might
Yeah.
not know, and I think it'll be very essential moving on in the session to understand exactly what keepers are.
Yeah, fine. Keeper is an odd word. It was created a long time ago. We all know what the Oracle problem was, which is a blockchain can't get off-chain data. So you need to create a separate network, a service network that does it. And those are called Oracle networks. But a lot of people don't know that another thing that a blockchain can't do, it can't initiate transactions. It can't, of its own logic, say, oh, today I have to do this. Or, if X and Y equals Z, I have to do this. Blockchains don't do that. They're record-keeping ledgers. They don't provide service. And so a service network like Powerpool does it. And the keepers, what they do is that in the same way that proof-of-stake blockchains have individuals running the nodes 24/7 reliably to move the transactions and to keep track of the transactions, a keeper is somebody who puts our software on top and starts to provide automation services according to really quite technical and advanced mathematics that go into Power Agent. Our keepers are selected randomly. They can be slashed if they don't do things. There's a lot of detail in how automation works. But basically, a keeper is somebody who participates in our network and is also participating in proof-of-stake network. And therefore, they're sharing the RPCs, they're sharing the data, and so forth and so on. The difference is that many chains require huge and complicated nodes to run, but chains like anyone who can be a home staker in Ethereum can be a keeper. It's permissionless. Anybody can do it. And our requirements are very small for hardware. That's the reason it's such a good earning opportunity. You're talking about passive income for life on very modest hardware and bandwidth. Even if you don't put up the ETH to be a proper home staker.
Yeah, Gordon, let me proceed with some particular example of what keepers do. So, for example, just imagine that you want to buy ETH. You want to buy one ETH if Ethereum is below 200, 2,500, for example, right? You want to buy one ETH. So for this, to do this, you need to set up a limit order. On Sex, it's easy. You set up a limit order, and Sex like executes the order if the market goes this direction at this price. But for example, what if you want to make a limit order on DEX? So if you want to make a limit order, it means that when some condition will happen, so if you will need to sign a transaction and make a swap in the IM, and you can do it yourself. But what if you can just delegate it to the keeper network like Powerpool? So you can create a special job in Powerpool, and the keeper network will execute these transactions for you once the condition will be met. So this is the simplest example of what can be done. So basically, you can automate almost any kind of on-chain interactions you want. For example, payment streaming. For example, you can do some like some borrowing on lending markets. You deposit your Ethereum as collateral, get some USDT, deposit this USDT for some farming strategy, and if Ethereum goes up, you can issue more and more debt, you can borrow more and more, and if Ethereum goes down, you can burn part of your debt to avoid the liquidation. So this is called liquidation protection. It means that somebody needs to constantly watch your position, and if your health factor is below some certain amount, just make the transaction and burn return some USDT back and reduce your debt and increase the collateral ratio after this operation. So in modern Web3, a lot of routines need to be automated, because why users need to spend time all the time to make all the transactions? They can just outsource it to keeper network and take into account all this account abstraction and modularity technology that came out last year. It is even more flexible now, so you can make like a safe account with like a multisig of two signers, like user and the keeper network. The keeper network will assign certain transactions according to certain algorithms on behalf of the user, strictly according to the algorithm, so that keeper network cannot do any bad things or withdraw the funds or do something really bad. So all actions are done according to the job that the user deployed to the network. So you said that so that network can buy Ethereum for you, the network will buy Ethereum for you, and that's it. Yeah, so this is what Powerpool does. So in our vision, in the future, the majority of on-chain transactions will be done not by users anymore. Users need to get convenient user experience without necessity to make repeated actions themselves, manually signing transactions every time in MetaMask or in some other wallets. Sometimes you sign a transaction, the guess is not correct, you're waiting, you're replacing the transaction. So users are not professional transaction signers. It's evident, right? I mean, the like basic users that onboarded just recently, right? So with such services like Powerpool, these new users, they can outsource all the routines to the network, and the network will sign this professionally. with appropriate gas, with proper MAV protection if it is required, according to the nature of the task, because there can be two types of tasks: MAV sensitive task, like some trading, or MAV non-sensitive, like, for example, adjusting your lending position. Only you can do this operation, so only from your contract. So it means that MAV bots cannot interrupt this transaction signing and do something bad for you. So this is the main value proposition. In the future, nobody will sign transactions themselves. I mean, all the transactions. Of course, users still will sign something, but the majority of these routine actions or easily automated sequences will be automated. And this is why we're building Powerpool. We want to make it done, and we want to make it done in decentralized way, because some other networks, they're basically not real networks. They have maybe 10 keepers, and all of them are launched by the team. And so if you have truly diversified standard set with different keeper bots using their own private RPCs, it's much, much more reliable, because just imagine you have 10 keeper bots, but all of them are using some centralized RPC service. And when this RPC service is down, and this happens sometimes, there were notable events last 3-4 years when some biggest RPC providers were shut down for a while, and even the withdrawals from biggest exchanges were paused because all the exchanges are also using these service providers, right? And keeper network will be also stuck after that. But if all the keepers using the private RPCs, independent ones, it's just much more secure in terms of reliability of the network. There always will be someone who will sign the transactions and do everything users need at appropriate time and condition. Because, for example, if you are using the liquidation protection on lending, and if all keepers will be offline, nobody will protect your position. You will be liquidated. You will lose a lot of money based on the liquidation penalty. And there are a lot of such cases. So the reliability of network is like a key objective here. So this is why we think that this can be done only in decentralized way.
Got it. So now I understand your perspective and point how keepers will significantly, increase the convenience in terms of how current people maintain their positions in the markets and how they are operating in DeFi. But in terms of how the keepers are getting compensated, in terms of how Powerpool is compensating, maybe, or a network compensates these keepers, and how is that different from people who are running nodes on in any consensus mechanism in terms of the economics also, if you can understand some if you can
Yeah,
help us explain that.
yeah. So you need to know that if you're talking about the consensus mechanism, so the consensus is also a kind of a job, right? You need to attest the blocks, you need to make the transaction ordering, and you need to add new blocks to the chain if you are chosen as a validator, for example, and make it all in correct way. And if you're doing some attacks or some bad stuff, you will be penalized, you will be slashed, you will lose part of your stake, right? So this is how the consensus works. I mean, in a nutshell, right? So and in consensus, the job owner, the entity who created this consensus job is the chain itself, right? So this is a big job that a lot of validators are participating in. But yeah, this job is set up by the chain, and chain pays for this job by some block rewards, and also users paying for this job by some fees that they pay to validators. Of course, it's done differently. For example, in Ethereum, the base fee is burned, and only the tips are going to the validators. But yeah, so the basic mechanism is that the chain compensates validators, and also users also participate in compensation. In Powerpool, the economics is a bit different. Why? Because the jobs that are created in the network are created by the end users. So, for example, if you're a user, you created a limit order, you want this limit order to be executed, and the condition will be met, like the price will achieve a certain level. So what you do, you deposit some amount of Ethereum. For example, if you're talking about the Ethereum mainnet, or we're talking about the Arbitrum rollup, right? You deposit some amount of Ethereum that will be used for the gas cost, because yeah, it's your job, you need to execute it, so you need to pay for the gas cost. And when some keeper executing this job, he receives a gas compensation and also some execution fee on top of that. So if you're running a keeper bot, for every transaction that you sign, you receive the gas compensation and some certain fee, which we call execution fee, on top of that. So you're earning from each transaction execution, always. And now, additionally to that, the Powerpool DAO assigns some rewards in the Powerpool native tokens to keepers, like to bootstrap the network and to provide, even more income for keepers to make their running even more, desirable and profitable for keeper bots owners. In the future, possibly the amount of rewards provided by the DAO will be decreased when the amount of user-owned jobs will be increased. So mainly the compensation can be divided into the three parts, as I said before. So it's a gas compensation. So you spend like 0.001 Ethereum for the gas. Okay, you will get the 0.001 Ethereum for the gas. Also getting a execution fee and also getting some tokens on a weekly basis as the rewards from the DAO for all active keepers who run a node properly without any slashing events, without any downtime events, etc. So we, as a DAO, we are rewarding the best performing keepers from the ecosystem fund, encouraging and motivating node operators to run nodes properly and getting even more profits from that. So this is how it works.
Got it. And in like the last income stream, which is apart from the two major income streams that the keepers are deriving from your network, the DAO contribution. So it would be great if you could just help us understand the structure of this DAO and how the DAO for these keepers is actually working, and what's like the sort of governance around this and what's happening around that.
Yeah. So some time ago, I believe it was maybe 8 months ago, the DAO approved a proposal to create an ecosystem fund containing 10 millions of CVP tokens for all, incentivizing activities, including the grants programs, including the node runner payments, etc. So now we have some compensation on Gnosis chain. We are selecting 15 best performing keepers every week and providing them some CVP tokens. As I remember, maybe 150 CVP tokens or 200 CVP tokens per each of them. So they receive some amount of tokens every week. So this is how it's done. So we have a public leaderboard because everything for the keepers, everything is on chain, right? So you can see all the transactions signed. You can see all the slashing events. So slashing occurs if the keeper didn't sign the transaction on time or on condition. So mainly it's like a misbehavior. Of course, it often happens not because of keeper intention to make something bad. It happens sometimes because of some keepers that, for example, trying to use some centralized RPC providers, right? And decentralized RPC providers sometimes are not reliable and they don't provide events or the latency is too big of this, the response on the JSON or something like that. So this is why we encourage and like motivate people to run their own independent RPCs because this is if you run your own RPC and you run it properly, it's the best way to avoid these slashing risks for you. So now all the keepers are using test tokens. These tokens have no real value. For the staking purposes, right? So they're provided by the DAO just for testing to avoid keepers to lose real money on slashing, because we are performing some last tests for the network, and sometimes keepers can be slashed because of some software issues, because all the test nets are created to resolve all the bugs, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, go ahead. I just want to put a little bit of background. Powerpool is an original gangster in DeFi automation. Powerpool dates back to 2020, 4 years. And it's DAO, it's a fair launch, no VC DAO. There's no company. It's not like Chainlink, where you have Chainlink Labs that has shareholders and everybody wonders how Link gets valuable. Powerpool has nothing. There is no company. There's only the DAO. There's only one token. And I think the other thing I wanted to highlight is the keeper earnings and developer earnings. These are native chain tokens. So if you're running jobs on Ethereum,
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Fees are earned and paid in ETH. So the CVP token is a staking token to give you skin in the game, but your actual personal earnings are always in the native token of the chain, be that Arbitrum, Polygon, whatever. So when I talk about the earning opportunities of a keeper, we're talking about passive income for life in native chain tokens. There's no speculation about, are the tokens we're giving out worth anything?
I was not questioning whether your token, the worth of your tokens. I obviously do believe their worth. My question was simply to just compare the earnings of a keeper versus somebody who's participating in a consensus mechanism. That was the
Yeah,
intention.
but yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's additive. All our keepers are earning from consensus also. What we're doing is improving the economics. Right now, everybody's concerned as the ETH staking rate goes up that staker
Yeah.
economics are going to go down. Just
Yeah.
add Power Agent, just become a keeper, and you've topped up your economics. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that in future, Ethereum nodes can earn as much from that they can earn as much as a keeper income as they can earn Ethereum staking rewards, because the Ethereum staking rewards are going to go down.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so I just want to add, so yeah, the main idea of all the keepers bots was that if you are already running a Ethereum validator, you can launch your keeper node on top of that, and keeper node client is lightweight. It doesn't consume a lot of resources, so it's not like a Ethereum node. It's much later, so you can run a keeper bought on $5 DigitalOcean server easily, and you will use your Ethereum node as an RPC. So yeah, so the idea was that, okay, you are running Ethereum node, you can run a keeper node on top of that and get additional ETH from the execution fees. And this just improves economic of your hardware setup. If you're running the Gnosis chain node, you can do the same. So, and some of Gnosis chain node operators, they're not only running the keeper bots, they're also creating jobs to claim the keeper bot, to claim the validators rewards automatically and convert them to some stable coins or some assets that they need. So even keeper bots and validators are at the same time validators, keeper bots, and the users of Powerpool.
Got it. That's amazing. The way that you guys are actually enabling finance, especially the Ethereum staking rates are going up, down, and the competition's increasing in that as well. One thing that I really liked about your project, about the whole Powerpool Finance community, is the decentralized structure of the way things are operating. As you mentioned that people keep on wondering how the value of Link is going up when it's all funded by VC money and there's this whole board of chairmen and everything. So, in context to that and what you guys are doing, how important do you feel is community governance to DeFi applications, or to all applications currently running? Because we keep on talking about community, but we rarely find decentralized communities like yours. So I'm pretty sure you must have very insightful comments to make about this.
Well, we have a partner. One of our partnerships, early adopters, if you like, is an outfit called Breadchain. And Breadchain is focused on this particular area, DAO and DAO managed investments and real-time DAO channeling of effort of a community. That's what Breadchain is all about. And we've given Breadchain some grants to develop improved DAO tooling, if you like, that takes advantage of automation. I mean, we all know that DAO governance has issues with participation, with subdelegation, with lots of issues. Automation can help with this, and we're pushing on that envelope to apply our own automation capabilities to our own DAO governance, because we have to make DAOs work. We only have DAO. That's all we have. There is nothing else.
Got it. So, now that we've gotten the basics out of the way for our audience, I would quickly like to dive into the power agent, which I think is one of the key essentials of the Powerpool protocol. And how it's meant. Whatever we talked about was mostly around power agent, and it's just giving the network of keepers a name. But if you could just help our users and or everybody currently in this AMA understand what Power Agent is about and what it actually facilitates in terms of the execution of transactions, as Vasily was earlier mentioning, in terms of DeFi protocols and maintaining positions. So if you could help us understand how Power Agent actually works for everyone who's here and who might be venturing into DeFi.
Well, yeah, just to summarize, Power Agent is the automation network. Powerpool is the DAO. There's a difference because Powerpool will also be sponsoring a whole dApp store of templated services where people just go and click on a service and get automated services. And those automated services are automated by Power Agent. So the difference between Powerpool and Power Agent is that Power Agent is the network, and Powerpool is the DAO, and Powerpool will also be the branding for the dApp store. Okay. Yeah. And Vasily can run through a long list of use cases for automation, but it always boils down to the same thing, which is if you have a task that needs to be done at a specific time, or that needs to be done whenever specific conditions align, and if you use oracles, you can also include off-chain data in those conditions. So if the conditions align, somebody has to do a transaction. Now, unless you personally manually want to do this 24/7 round the clock, you need to rely on an automation service network, and that's what Power Agent is. So even simple things like DCA, dollar cost averaging, as Vasily mentioned, liquidation protection, limit orders, all kinds of big. I mean, we have a project with Balancer to put limit orders on Balancer. Why? Because, well, they don't have, and they're not going to write it themselves, and it requires automation. There's tons and tons of stuff out there that absolutely is a million times better once it's automated. It's logical because all the data that you need to make a decision is either on-chain or off-chain. You can use oracles to get the off-chain data. You get the on-chain data from the nodes. And if you have all that, then it's basic computation. X is greater than Y, do Z. Most people just don't realize, they think that a blockchain like Ethereum is something like Linux. No, it's not. It's a ledger. It's dumb. Okay, so it comes alive when you put an automation network together with, just like it becomes aware when you put an Oracle network next to it.
Yeah, could I add something? So, yeah, Power Agent network, it consists of two groups of participating agents. So one group is a keeper bots, and another group is user-created jobs. So what we have in Power Agent, we have some number of keeper bots that operate and monitor all the jobs, if these jobs need to be executed now or not. If some job need to be executed now according to the time or to some specific logical condition, the network selects the keeper that will execute the job. It's done randomly. In the future, it will be done randomly and also weighted by the stake. So now, if you create a job, you can define the lower and upper bound of the stake for executors. So if your job is really important and you want to allow only keepers with very huge stakes participate in your job signing, so you can add these rules to your job if you want. And in this regard, only keepers with huge stakes will be able to execute your job. And if they wouldn't, they will be slashed for a significant amount of tokens and therefore money. And if your job is not so important, you can put the stake diapason quite low, and the responsibility of keepers will be low. But yeah, if it wouldn't be signed on time, you wouldn't lose anything, right? For example, if you just compounded the rewards, you can wait for 1 more hour to be signed, and it's not a problem. It's not liquidation protection. So yeah, the network consists of keepers, jobs, and cryptoeconomic rules of how it all works and how keepers are selected, how compensation is paid, and yeah, also the compensation depends. This execution fee depends on the keeper's stake. So the bigger is the stake, the bigger is the execution fee. It's algorithmic. We have a special multiplier for that. So it means that if a keeper with bigger stake runs a node, he or she, the keeper node should get more execution fee, the bigger execution fee, because if you're staking bigger number of tokens, first of all, you're exposed to the volatility of the token, right? Second, you're exposed to the slashing risk. So for some reason, you can be slashed even if you don't want to do so. You will lose part of your tokens. So you need to be compensated more because the rewards always should, be balanced with the risks. It's basic financial approach. Yeah.
I mean, the people who create the jobs decide how much skin in the game the keepers have to have in order to be part of the signer set. In other words, eligible for random choice. And there's a bias when you're creating a job. You want to look at people who have big stakes, bigger than probably justified. It's a sort of a cognitive bias. But what it does do is it creates increasing returns to staking CVP. The bigger your stake, the more jobs you get, the more valuable they are, the higher your returns. And the DAO does keep an eye on that.
Got it. I understand. And that's just in terms of jobs, though. But how do you ensure that the keepers that are selected are random?
So
Good question. Vasily will explain that one.
yeah, so that so it depends on the network. I mean, on the blockchain network that Powerpool is deployed on. For Ethereum and for the Gnosis chain, we're using the source of randomness coming from the consensus mechanism itself. It's called RenDAO. So and it is built into Ethereum consensus, into Ethereum POS consensus, and since the Gnosis chain using the same type of consensus, the RenDAO also exists on Gnosis chain. For other networks and rollups, we need to have some external source of randomness, and of course, this randomness should be fair and provable. So on Polygon and on Arbitrum, we are using Chainlink verifiable random function, so which is attested, and everybody knows that this is truly a fair and provable source of randomness. And for other chains and rollups that don't have Chainlink verifiable random function yet, we develop our own one. So it will be used, for example, on Scroll, on Neon EVM, on some other chains and rollups. So yeah, now it is like in production, so we hope to release it soon. So uh, yeah, what I want to say, we use source of randomness on every chain, but we try to use the most simplest approach to get it. So if, for example, in Ethereum, there is a like built-in rundown in consensus mechanism, of course, we don't want to develop our own one there, right? Because it's naturally coming from the consensus. On Arbitrum, we're using Chainlink VRF because it works well, and yeah, you can just use it. So the Web3 development is beautiful because we can use different tooling, different stuff, and compose the best products into our product. So and on some other chains and rollups, we will use our own VRF. And for example, Scroll is interested even not only in Powerpool itself, not only in automation, but also in using our VRF function on Scroll because some other applications need it, and Chainlink isn't going there now.
Yeah, I mean, we are self-sufficient in VRF stands for verifiably random function. I mean, we're using Chainlink in two cases because it's there and it works, but in a case like Scroll, we're actually likely to be the randomness function supplier to the Scroll ecosystem, and that will probably play it out. People in future will choose between Chainlink and Powerpool as a source of randomness.
Got it. Understood. So effectively, the chains that have an inbuilt randomness function, you just use it. And right now, the chains that don't, you're using Chainlink. But in the future, like you're developing for Scroll, you will be providing and competing with Chainlink to provide the randomness feature or function inside the chain. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And what that means is that if Chainlink, because remember, Chainlink is a company, they could decide, we're going to block Powerpool.
Yeah.
If they do that, it's okay. We have our own. We don't depend on them for this.
I see. So one more thing, that was also the sort of the agenda of this AMA session was how you make transactions not just automated but gasless. So I don't think we've touched upon that yet. So if you could just shed some light as we are ending, I mean almost about to end this AMA, and would like to touch all bases of the unique features of Powerpool and Power Agent, of Power Agent specifically. How do you facilitate gasless transactions, in addition to making them automated?
Yeah, so at this moment, we don't have the gasless transactions in production, so we are working on it, but it is not released yet. So it can be done via the like a relayer type of service. When, for example, some relayers, they can, based on Powerpool Keeper bots, of course, they can process the transactions and, for example, charge like some fees from users in some other tokens that they want to accept or something like that. So this is the main approach for it
Got
right
it.
now.
Got it. So, but one of the income streams for keepers is the gas fees, right? So, if you make it gasless, I mean, is it okay if we discuss this? And I mean, you can obviously choose to refuse, but if like I mean, one of the income streams for keepers is the gas fee. So if we make the transactions gasless, how does that work? I mean, do
I mean,
keepers still get paid?
no. I mean, when we talk about the gasless transactions, we speak about that you don't need to deposit Ethereum for gas. But for example, if you deposit USDT, the keeper can take
Okay,
part of
okay,
this USDT. So I mean, this
got
of course, it cannot be free transactions. So
yeah,
on certain chains like Gnosis chain, where
yeah,
transactions are really so cheap that keepers probably can just execute on on their own money, and they wouldn't get wrecked on this, right?
yeah.
And the DAO can, for example, provide some token rewards to keepers, and these token rewards will definitely outweigh all possible gas expenses ever. So yeah, this is like one
Got
of
it.
practical approaches. It's just done for the for the user's convenience, because you need
Hmm.
to because just imagine on Gnosis chain you need to, so if you want to create some job on Gnosis chain, you need to fund your job smart contract not only with some asset that you want, for example, to sell like USDT or some other stablecoin. You need also supply it with XDAI, right? And to get
Yeah.
XDAI, you need to somehow get it. And there is almost no exchanges that possibly there is only one exchange, BitGet, or I maybe even other smaller exchange. I cannot remember it now, that process some direct withdrawals to the Gnosis chain. So now, if you want to get some XDAI, you need to get some assets on another chain, bridge. So get DAI on another chain and bridge it to Gnosis chain and get XDAI as a result of
Oh,
this operation. And this is a whole madness. I mean,
yeah,
for
yeah.
the ordinary user, it will require a lot of time
Yeah,
and
I'll just give up,
understanding.
man. Yeah. Most people will just give up mostly if it's a normal user, because the user experience in terms of the number of steps maybe is just not worth it. But otherwise, we are at the end almost. I'm sorry, do you want to say something?
No.
Okay, so we have a question from Pablo, and we have a question from Monarch that we just address before jumping on to our last question. Can you elaborate on the academic research aspects related to Power Agent V2's future functionality, including keeper selection algorithms? I think, Pablo, apart from the MEV and ZK, Vasily and Gordon have pretty much cleared everything. Do you guys want to add something on MEV and ZK research in terms of Power Agents V2 future functionality?
Yeah. I just want to mention that the research on keeper selection algorithms was published around 1 year ago, so you can find it on our GitHub. So this is like a public article, and you can read everything about the random keeper selection, about all the future stake weighting functions, etc. And um, so when we make something in the research space, we publish it. So recently, we, for example, published an article on the verifiable random function design, and you can read it on our Mirror, because we use Mirror for this, more scientific and more academic stuff. So, and on ZK and modularity, for example, we will publish some articles soon as well. So you will be able to read everything. So we plan to do.
Got it. Got it. One more question we have from the audience is that, do you think it would be useful to have more basic node running guides for those who are not developers but want to size their passive income options?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
We definitely
yeah.
think
I mean,
so, and we
we're
even
already
yeah.
just to start, we're already bundled with DAppNode. And if you don't know, DAppNode is a little piece of a box that you buy and take home and set up. And it bundles, for example, an Ethereum validator with ours and many other things. So this is getting easier and easier just to take it home and plug it in. Now, right now, we have a big grants program going to pay our existing, we have hundreds of people who've been through this and who've done it. So we're paying them now to write up improve, broaden the documentation, widen the funnel, so that we can get more and more people, sitting at home earning. We have Discord forum. We're just trying desperately to kickstart this process where the first 100 teach the next 300, who teach the next 500, who teach the next 1,000. But I would say to anyone out there who's young, I'm not, but Definitely your pension plan in the future is running a home validator, not just ours, but other things as a bundle. It's totally portable. It fits in your pocket practically. And it's just a core skill. People used to have to learn to use a spreadsheet, then they had to learn to use the internet, and they had to learn to use a database. You got to learn to run a node. It is the generational job of people who are definitely under 30, probably even under 40. And the reason is that it's pure portable passive income in native chain tokens. Pension doesn't get any better than that.
I agree. That node is pretty convenient, man. It's really portable. You can put it in your pockets and walk around.
Yeah, I just want to add that we also, so regarding the node runner guides, we also launched the contest for the Git book articles. So and this is there is 2,000 USD for rewards and for all people who will contribute to the Git book. So if you, for example, think that so we have I think pretty detailed guides for node running on Gitbook and for job creation, for everything. But if you think that you can create something simpler, something easy read stuff for new node runners, please do it. Please apply your creation, and we will be happy to provide some rewards to you. So you can get up to maybe 300 or 500 USD per one article. It will be really excellent, and it's all will be judged on the forum.
Yeah, we're hoping that people will put up just very simple things. Here's 10 mistakes I made becoming a Power Agent keeper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Things like that are hugely, hugely valuable. But they have to come from the people. A guy like Vasily can't sit down and write documentation because he knows how everything works, and he doesn't, you don't have the right perspective. This is true of all software, okay? But we need the people who just did it to get paid to write down the mistakes they made.
Makes sense. Maybe I'll try it out and participate in your Git book challenge and come up with something. I think that was it from our end, and we're really thankful to have you guys do this session with us. And we do have a lot of questions in the chat. So we have Tolga and we have Troy and a lot of other people, but unfortunately, I don't think we have the time right now to mention all of your questions. But if you guys can, do join the QuillAudits or the Powerpool community, and I'm pretty sure Gordon and Vasily will be happy to answer your questions around everything about Powerpool or Power Agent, or I can see a few questions about meta governance and everything. So I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to answer you guys. So thank you so much everyone for joining, and we would like to quickly mention our community partners who have shared this combined goal with us and have sort of helped us promote this event so that it could reach all of you. And for that we'll just mention Namespace, EduHub, DevStation, and a bunch of our other community partners that we've tagged in the tweet. So we would request you all to once at least retweet our tweet for today. We'd also like to mention Namespace and Mentorly, who've been supporting us throughout. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and to the community partners, and especially to Gordon and Vasily for taking out their prestigious time to help us out with this session and help all of you. Thank you so much, guys.
Anyone who has questions, follow me on X. My DMs are open, and I'll do my best to answer your question.
Yep. Thank you a lot. Thank you for inviting us to this IMA.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, guys.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.